Hello everyone, welcome to this training session in which we will cover how to develop a DP based SSRS report for Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance and Operation using RDP approach, that is report data provider. Uh, the classes will be involved report data provider class itself, contract class, UI builder, user interface builder class, and controller classes. So let's start with the agenda of the training. So we'll explain about what is the model view controller and how it maps with D365 FinOps reporting, specifically RDP based reporting. And then we'll explain what is basically report data provider, what are its uses, and we'll also then cover a report contract class along with the controller and UI builder class in the last, and then we'll also cover a demonstration, a very lengthy demonstration in which we will involve all of these classes. So model view controller, or MVC in short, is a pattern which is used to basically isolate business logic from the user interface. So user interface is a view. So in this, the MVC design pattern is based on the following three key pillars. As its name suggests, M, V, and C. M stands for model. Model is responsible for executing all the business logic and basically retrieving data using complex queries, data methods, or classes performing the same. So what is view? View is basically involves in rendering the data to the user screen in a well formatted pattern. In our case, basically the report itself. The SSRS report designs multiple designs sometime, or it can have single design, and how the fields are arranged, the values are displayed on the while the report is running. So that is called a view. So what is basically controller? Controller controls the communication between model and view. And in our case, definitely the controller will be used to, of course, as per dynamic requirements, it will show the appropriate design if the report is containing multiple designs, and it can be used even for validation and other purposes. So next is how it maps in our Dynamics 365 reporting. Is basically there are four main concepts. So the one is controller UI builder, and then report data provider is basically the class used, and then there is a report definition language, RDL contract. So these are basically four main concepts revolving around D365 reporting, which map to the MVC. So what is basically report data provider? Basically, this is the main class in which is normally abbreviated as RDP, and sometimes it is in short called DP as well. That means data provider or report data provider, that is for RDP. And RDP is the data source type which is available when we add a new data set to the report in Visual Studio. So we have also in the demonstration we have created the class, and then you can see when it will come in the demonstration how easy it was that we are just dragging and dropping the RDP class over the datasets node in a report. So automatically it is picking the dataset involved in that, and that dataset is definitely backed by the temporary table, that is TempDB table. RDP is also defined as a class which basically resides in inside D365 and also in previous version called AX 2012, and it basically has three main functions. It executes the business logic, it processes the data, and also it returns a data set which is rendered in the report. So whatever the complex logic you want to execute or process, the data inside it which is not readily available to be presented. So in that case you will use RDP based report. So ideally it should be used in following two cases. When we cannot use a query based report that is simple to extract from the database itself, and when there is a data which need to be prepared before rendering to the interface. So that means the complex business logic is involved, then only you can use this RDP based class. And there are certain limitations when also the query base cannot solve, then also you can go ahead with the RDP based class. So what is basically contact class? Uh, the contact class, also called a report contact, so that is used for defining parameters for SSRS reports, and it is used for filtering. Basically, parameters are used for filtering the data, and so the parameters are passed through contact class. We normally define param methods, which are called getter and setter methods, where you can set or get the values for the internal variables. We can define any number of parameters using X++ statement for any data types, which will be then linked with the RDP class, and the contact will be passed to RDP class itself. So same contacts are used to query data from database engine, which will decrease an overhead on executing of a query in SQL. So what are basically controller and UI builder classes? So I should also tell you that a contract is not necessary if you don't need any parameters. Only DP will do. But if you need definitely parameters for filtering the data, then you can define a contract class as well. And the controller and UI builder classes are also optional as per your needs. So what are these classes? First of all, we'll need to define it. Controller class basically gives a flexibility to control the behavior of the report before running the report. So basically the behavior means, for example, I will give you an example. If a report contains multiple designs, for example, one design is for summary and one is for detail level, transaction level design. So as per the dialog box choices or as per the parameters in D365, you can control the behavior of the report, means what design will be called at in what scenario. So that behavior is definitely controlled by the controller class. And what is user interface? Basically, it is for interacting with our user interface. When there is a dialog box appears before running a report, and that dialog box is, for example, if you want to run a report in a batch and you want it to send as an email, or if there are certain parameters or filtering criteria which you need before rendering the report. For example, if there is a customer report, you want to filter a customer number for customer account on the basis of what we need only to we want to see only a specific customer or a specific customer group. So in that case, definitely we can use in addition to the contract a user interface class. In our example, we will also be covering this user interface class, where we are giving two filters. One is, for example, customer account, and the other one is customer group. So if we choose a customer group, on the basis of that, the other lookup field will automatically filter whatever the customers are under that group, automatically it will get filtered. So there is a controller class. Now we can define it as a controller in Mvc design pattern. So the controller role is in Mvc is played by SRS report run controller class, extended class through this base class. Controller class basically performs following activities and even more than these activities, but I have covered at least briefly. So basically it calls SRS report run interface to parse RDL, and then it also can get the report contracts, and we can also modify any of the parameters which are passed through the contract, and also it creates the necessary UI builders and invokes them if we want additional lookup or anything which cannot be achieved through the contract class, then we can definitely build our fields and field groups in in the UI builder. But definitely this controller class itself can create UI builders and invoke them, and it also called to validate on the contracts. So the validate method can also be implemented and saves to the sys last value table. So if you have selected certain parameters and again you are calling the same report, so the values will be retained there in the parameters, so that no need to type it again until you want to change it. Controller class must be overridden in the following scenarios. So change contracts before running a report. If we want to do that, we want to modify the contract before running. So in that case, for example, if we want to change the query based on the parameter in the form, then we can use modify report contract method. And also react to form controls events. For this, override methods and events are used. And if we want to add validations which are not part of contract class or report data tables, for this override the validate method and call the super method. And if we want to change the report name or design based on the parameters to add capabilities of rendering multiple reports or multiple report designs using the same report controller. So so the controller class basically allows you to call whatever report you want or whatever design inside one report if it is containing multiple design based upon the parameter selection. Also, it allows to change the company or culture based on the parameters. By this means that if there are multiple languages like English US, English UK, or French or German or any other language which are supported by D365, so that can also be achieved. When a user in option selects his or her own language, which should also be supported by D365, so automatically that report will be called. So this can also be controlled here. For this, we need to override modify report contract method and set the company and culture on SRS report RDL data contract. Then comes UI builder class, and UI builder class, as its name simply suggests, that it is used for creating or building the user interface, and it determines the look and feel of Run Dialog, which appears just before rendering the report. Additionally, following activities can be performed using the UI builder class. Adding any type of field over the report dialog, that is very clear in contract. Also, if we define a param method and decorate it, so definitely that also can be used. And in the same way, we can also on the runtime we can define more of those fields in UI builder class. So add multiple groups under multiple columns, so that is also possible. And definitely multiple fields can be under a single group, and you want to group those fields in groups, so then that is also possible. Enable and disable fields on the basis of other dialog field value, that is also possible. And in our demonstration we have covered the filtering criteria, but in same way you can also enable disable the fields. If for example in a certain lookup you are selecting certain value, for example summary or detail, on the basis of that if you want to introduce another dialog field or a checkbox, so that you can also control in UI builder. That is not simply achievable in contract. And then we can also add lookups to the fields. Definitely a lookup is already built in contract if the EDT is supporting that lookup, but certain things are not possible, like if you want to filter certain values, which we have done in our demonstration, so that is not simply possible in through the contract. Then we need to write our own lookup method, and then accordingly we can introduce query and query range, and through the query range we can put our pass our values, and then the lookup will be filtered. And also transfer dialog field values to the report contract. Whatever the field values are selected by the end user in a UI using UI builder on the dialog, so that also can be passed to the report contract clearly. And then we can also validate the values which are input in our UI builder in our run dialog. So if the user is, for example, if there is a date range from and to date, and to date is the end user is entering a past date, then from date, so we can validate that from to date cannot be uh, older than from date. So in the same fashion, you can also validate other field values. UI builder basically contains two classes, which is SRS report data contract UI builder, and the other one is operation automatic UI builder. So let's now jump into our demonstration part. In today's training session, we will once again cover SSRS customization or development. In this one, like previous session, we have covered query based use for simple reports when the data is retrieved from existing table fields or from display methods, which are basically queries at the back end. So when there is a simple logic or simple only you need to format your data and just display it from the tables existing table values, so that can be used. But when data provider based report is created, so that means there is a certain complication or complex business logic at the back end. So normally in that we use data provider base, and due to because there are so many objects involved in data provider, and the creation of it is a complex thing, so it should always be preferred when there is query base is not available. I mean the query based report approach cannot work at that time, you can go ahead with data provider class. So there are actually four classes, but based upon your needs, you can go ahead with the creation of those classes. If needs are not like that one, so you might minimize to only few classes. So there are basically four classes. So we have covered in our previous session about contract class used for parameter passing, and then we use data provider class used for computation of our business logic, and we have not covered UI builder and the controller class basically. So UI builder is for user interface enhancement when there is a run dialog appears before rendering our report, and then there is a controller class which is used to control the behavior of the report, or if there are multiple designs of the report, so which one should be called, so that controller is used for that purpose, and there are other purposes as well. So now we will start with our simple example, and in this one we will just go ahead with our project creation, and in D365 we will use finance operation, and just give it a prefix, and we will cover in this a customer transaction report. So just start by creating a project, and automatically it will create the solution. So first of all, we will just explore the tables behind it. So there is a transaction table basically, which involves whenever there are customer transactions, like in customer invoice, that can be sales invoice, or that can be a free tax invoice, or if there are collections or payment received from customer. So all of the transaction will go into this table, which is called customer transaction table. So definitely we'll just start by creating a temporary table, and temporary table in data provider class is essential element, because whatever we display in our report or whatever we render in our report, first we need to store those values in a temporary table, and first we need to compute also those values through our data provider class and store it into a temporary table. For that purpose is very important. So that's why we will just go ahead with the creation of project. And one more thing, just please take care about that one. Go to the D365 menu and options, and in the options you can see in the projects you need to tick mark this option which is called organize projects by element type. So what is the benefit of this option is whenever you create an item of AOT type like element or a new item, so automatically the folders will be created. Instead of you can manually create a new folder yourself, but once this option is checked, so automatically when you create a new item, so the folder of that item type will automatically be created. So that will help you and reduce your work. So first of all, we need to just explore customer transaction table, and there are the essential fields which we'll definitely need for our temporary table. So just check it out. This one is account number. Account number is for customer account number. Then there is amount curve for transactional currency amount, and then there is a base amount. Definitely for every company there will be a base amount, and that base amount can be dollars or euro based upon your company base currency. So that base amount will go into amount MST. And apart from this, there will be currency code. Currency code is for transactional currency that we will require here, and then we will also need to have a document date against the invoice, or and then there are certain other fields, but we'll keep it simple. So that's why we'll just start by creating our temporary table. Just go ahead with the new item, and then in the data model you can go to the table and then just give it a name like PKR cust trans. You can also put it just like cust trans TMP to identify whether it is a temporary table. So it is saying a model error, so just go ahead with the model selection. Which is very important because this is a container where all projects or one of the project will reside. So normally there can be a package, and inside package there will be model, and inside model there can be projects. So normally it is one to one. You need to create a single project with a separate model. So once I created that one, I can go ahead and add a table from here as well, and from either I can choose directly. These are frequently created items, so these are already available, so I can just directly create it. Just give it a name like as trans EMP. So the table is just created without any fields. So first of all, we need to set the certain properties of this table. So just go ahead and give it. Also, we'll just create a label file, because we'll need labels for our various elements or various items. For that, we'll just create. We'll go to the new item, and then in the new item, go to the labels and resources and label file. Just give it the same name. It will take a while until the label file is created. Just have a patience. Just giving me an error. So label file ID will be the same, and the language will be English. So the label file is created. Just open it. So just delete the first label, no need of this label, and customer transactions, just trans. You can just copy this label, just save it, and just put in the temporary table label. Okay, after this, we just need to choose the table type. So it by default it is regular. You can choose one of the values. In memory table are only recommended when you are for sure you know that only around 500 to 1000 records will be there, and there will be no in future there will be no more than that. Of course, in memory means the records will be kept in RAM, so always it's better to use temp DB otherwise. So when you talk about reports, but regular table can be used if the records are persistent, means the scope, even more than that scope you need to keep the records. So that is the purpose for a regular table. And in memory and temp DB both are temporary, for temporary keeping the records. So for now we will choose temp DB, and that's it. So just after that we need to just create our fields in this temporary tables, the fields which we require. So what we'll do, we'll just use these existing fields. Let me do one more thing, creating extension, create extension in this project. And just select the fields here, currency code, and there is one more which is voucher number, and text is for description, and transaction type and date is also important. We'll just start by creating these various fields, and you can just click it and view the extended data type, normally EDT, uh, that is in the field called extended data type, the customer account. So in the same manner we just need to create our fields. Just create a string type field here and give it the same name like account number, and in account number you can go ahead to the extended data type here, and you can choose first account. So the labels existing in extended data type will automatically be reflected. No need of again giving it a label. And in amount curve, now in amount curve we need to check what is the extended data type. Normally is amount curve deb credit. So just copy it and create a real type of field. Give it same name, amount curve, and extended data type what you have copied, you can just paste it. And for amount MST, is again the same, but it is amount MST debit credit. You can just copy the EDT and just create the real value, because the currency will be normally a real value with decimal. Just give this extended data type, and then what we need, currency code is needed, which is a string type, and this is the EDT cust currency code. And definitely if you create a different data type for the field, I mean a different field of a different data type, so at that time the extended data type will not be available from our the example field. So it means like currency code is string. If I create integer and then choose extended data type of currency code, it will not be available there. So I must select string in order for in this extended data type the value should be available. So like this cust currency code is now available when I selected this as a string. So otherwise it would not be available. So same data types are available for the same data type of the fields. Okay, after this we will also need document date and document number. So just check this document date and this is document number. Document number is again string data type. Then date, document date definitely is date type, date of type, and here you can choose document date as a EDT. Document number, document date was created, and due date, if you like, you can put it here. But I will make it simple. I will just need an invoice type here. So the EDT is invoice ID. So if it is invoice, so this will contain a invoice number. Just give it same name, and just in extended data type, just put it. So we have just created the invoice field, and now we'll also check about payment ID, payment method, payment mode, but we'll use here text and voucher and trans type and trans date. So just go ahead. Trans date will be definitely, this is a transactional date, so this will be date type. Just to make sure what is EDT is trans date, just copy this EDT and paste it. And trans type is enum, and you can see in a small icon icon is shown, that means an enum type. So just create an enum. Enum are essentially integer, but with lesser range. So basically enum will have a value as well in integer, for example 0 1 2 3, but it will have a literal also. So just not trans date, basically it is trans type. So trans type EDT, it is not EDT, it is enum type. So ledger trans type is EDT enum. So in enum type you can just put here ledger trans type, which is ledger transaction type. Basically there are so many transactions happening from each of the sub ledger into ledger, and those will have a certain transaction type. Just give it a name like trans type, and then we'll need definitely a txt, which is a transaction text large, that is a description. So we'll just choose an string type here also. txt, and EDT will be transaction text large, and then the voucher, which is again string type, and the EDT type is voucher. So also we'll paste in EDT extended data type. And one more thing which we'll need here, which is basically the customer name. We'll definitely need to place here instead of also account number is there, but we'll need to calculate and put our customer name in a physical field in the temporary table. So for that purpose, just go to the in cust table. There is a display method which will return our customer name. So instead of cust trans, go to cust table, which will hold definitely all the customers. But basically dire party table and dire person table will have the name value for vendor or customers, but here this is for ease. Customer group is also a display method here, and yeah, this name is basically will show our customer name. And in the properties you can see what is the code here. If you hover your mouse, so it will show you that dire party table dot name is returned here as a customer name. So the return type, you can see cust name is the return type. So we'll just go ahead with the creation of our customer name. We'll just put here cust name. When the abbreviations are famous and frequently used in Microsoft code, you can use that abbreviation. For example, here I am not typing full customer, just I am just putting cust name. Why? Because now in this table as well, and all the module of account receivable, the prefix of cust is famous and frequently used, so I can use that one. So otherwise, the abbreviation which are not frequently used and only you know about that, it is not a best practice. You should use always when there is an existing abbreviation used there. So in the cust name, I can use EDT called cust name. So it is already existing, and account number, I have used the same field name as it exists in cust trans. So I think, and then alter up arrow will definitely place it after account number, and I think now it is almost done. If we remember any other thing, we will just place it, but for now I think the temporary table is okay. We'll just close the label file and temporary table. So now we'll go ahead with the creation of contract class. So just go ahead with the new item, or we can also choose the class value there. Go to the code and select the class. Just give it a name like as trans contract. So just always keep the naming conventions in the same way. If you have named a project like PKR Cust Trans, so the data provider will be like data provider or DP, and contract will be like contract line UI builder and controller. You just can put as a suffix these words in order to identify the objects in the same pattern. Just go ahead with adding the class. So in the workspace, you can see now that the class skeleton is now available, and we will just decorate it as a contract, and just put a public as access modifier, then decorate this as data contract. attribute. After declaring, after decorating it with the contract, we need to just declare our global variables, and we need to also create the param methods whatever we need here. So for example, there are customer transaction, we will definitely need a customer account number itself. So what we'll do here, so the cust account EDT we can declare here, and in camel case we'll just declare the variable, and then we will just need to create our method here. The return type will be definitely cust account, and then param cust account, and then again in the parameters I need to declare with underscore. This is a best practice for parameters, and then just I will assign it with the existing variable to make it optional. When I assign through equals to sign like this one, it means I am making this parameter optional. If I don't put this assignment and means only this is mentioned, so the parameter become mandatory. Whenever you call this param method, you need to give this parameter as a mandatory. But since param method is as a getter or setter or for data setting and getting, so when you get it, no need of giving a parameter value. So that is the purpose of making it optional. So if you are setting, definitely you need to pass the value of that variable. In setting it, it is mandatory, but in getting it, it is not mandatory. So we'll make it optional in both the cases. And when there is a setting, then definitely we'll need to pass the values there. Otherwise, it will not set. So what will be the next statement will be just reversal of this, means they will interchangeably replace each other. Just assign whatever is passed as a parameter to the local variable, and then just return it. Once it is assigned, definitely it will hold the new value and it will return it. So this will be the param method definition. You can remove the extra spaces, and now we just need to decorate this param method. So for decoration, just put the square this brackets. Okay, then make it data member attribute, and give it a name like cust sys operation label attribute. I will just put the label there. Let me complete visibility. But I want it to be visible, but it is when sys operation is called, so sys operation control visibility will be false. So just here I need to put the label for customer account, right? I can just find the label for this literal. I can go to the label search, and here I can find on any existing sys labels. So the customer account label is available, so I will just copy it and I will paste this label code here. So that's it. Now the customer account is mentioned in the contract class, and for now we have just completed our contract class, and we will just move to our data provider class. For that, just need to right click on the classes and just add from frequently used, and give it a name like pkr underscore cust trans and dp abbreviated for data provider. So the class is there now, and what we need to do is first to decorate it with the our contract class, so that this data provider knows that what is the contract class associated with this one. So the attribute is SRS report parameter attribute with the class str. So in the class str you can put the name of our contract, cust trans contract. So that is our, and just complete the square brackets. And now we need to just also declare our temporary table buffer, which is cust trans tmp, and I will just make it cust trans tmp as a variable. And then I need to have definitely a method which will retrieve the temporary table when you select this DP class in your SSRS as a data set. So at that time this method will be called, and whatever the temporary table is behind it, it will give it the temporary table. So just start by creating the method. The return type is cust temporary table buffer will be returned, and the method name normally starts with like get and then whatever is your table name. So in our case the table name is pkr cust trans tmp, and in this one you can just select cust trans, which was global table buffer. Just select means we are not mentioning it here where clause, because where clause will definitely filter it out, but we definitely need all the records, and we'll return the cust trans temp once it is selected, so it will return the table buffer. But we'll also need to decorate this method by SRS report data set attribute, because this will be used as our data set, and then it will identify this as a data set. So the table str will be this one, and this completes our decorator. We need to extend also the data provider class. SRS report data provider base. So once we extend it, then we definitely we can override also. So the override methods are available, whatever the parent methods are, so those are available because of this parent classes of data provider. Just create the process report here, and in the process report we'll just need to ignore the super call here. Just comment it. After commenting, just declare our contract. So the name will be as a local variable. I will use the contract name, and then I will assign or initialize with the existing the contract which is passed, as I will also cast this into. And casting means there can be multiple data types. So once you convert from one data type to another, that is called type casting. Here I will also cast this as our own contract class instead of the contract which is in its parent of data provider. So I will just cast into our own contract class, so then it will all definitely include our param method as well. So once it is initialized, so the param method means the customer account number which will set as a param will be available. So now the main logic we will write here, and that logic will definitely we can write it here, or we can create another method to populate that one. So that is also possible, and then use that method to populate our temporary table and call that method here. So what we can do here, just declare customer account. Okay, and in the process report itself, once the contract is populated, we can just here assign to our variable of customer account the value which is passed as param. So here we are getting the value of customer account and assigning to our variable here. And now what we need to do here, just complete the documentation of this method. Processes report data. Create one more method, public void, and so there is no return type, means void, there is no data type returned here. It will basically work for processing certain tasks. So we will definitely process here by populating our customer transaction temp table, and we need to just call this method here. In this way, in the process report, whenever this method is called, the logic inside that method will be run or calculated. So what we need to do now, we need to just populate the customer transactions based upon if there is certain value passed or if there is no certain value passed. So we'll use the set based operation here, and what are the set based operation? Those will reduce our round trips, and only one or a few times it will go to the DB, and it will just process our the logic, and it will return. So what we need to do is just insert record set, and in the insert record set in the set based operation, just put insert record set and the table in which we'll be just putting our records. So that will be cust trans tmp, and in the brackets then you just need to select the field names where you will be putting the various values. So just select almost everything. Sequence is very important because then in the select statement you just need to put the sequence as well. So just let me create by one field here and then select customer, select account num from, and I will use here the customer transaction. I need to just declare the buffer first, buffer of the customer transaction table. So I will just select the customer transaction table here. So we also since we have passed the customer account as well, so just we need to put a where condition here, where clause. In the where clause, what we need to pass here is cust trans account number is equal to the passed value, which is this one, which we already populated here. If there is a value, so that will be populated here. So definitely that means once the value is there, it will be compared with this one, and if the value is not there, so it will compare with blank and there will be no records written. But we don't want that behavior. For that, what we need to do is we will just use an or clause and put both classes in brackets. We will just compare that if customer account in the or clause, always use the first clause when you see that most of the time this will be the case. So what will be the case most of the time, whether the parameter will be set by the end users or it will be kept blank. So it depends upon, I cannot predict now this one. Maybe normally it can be a customer account is filled in, but what we need to do is here to just compare the value with the blank value and just put twice pipe operator to make it or condition. So what will happen now, that if the customer account is blank, so if the customer account is blank, then it will not check the other clause here and it will directly retrieve all the records. So but if it is not blank, so it will go to check and it will turn to false. So definitely in or the next clause is checked, which is the cust account definitely will have certain value. In that case, it will be assigned or compared, it will be compared with this account number, and that specific account number information will be retrieved. So that will be the case here, and we can do in this simple condition. Just build the project. So if there are any errors, so in the building it gave me a few errors. That error is basically transaction text large or its base type for table pkr field txt does not exist. So just let me check. The txt type I have selected transaction text large, which does not definitely exist. Let me check that one. So transaction text large is part of the ledger package. So just we need to refer that package in order to use it. Just go to the update model parameters and choose our model, whatever it is, and then we just need to select among reference packages ledger, because normally this description is used for the ledger journals. And all the subledger which are basically definitely affecting the ledger itself, so they are also using the description field or text field. So the build is now successfully completed, and now let's go ahead with the creation of the menu item, basically report before menu item. I will just right click and add new item here, and in the reports I can select the report and I will put name as trans. First we'll check whatever the changes we have done so far, and then we'll also do the UI builder and controller classes. So first of all, in the report we need to just create a data set. For the creation of data set is very easy also. Just you can drag and drop automatically the data set, because now this DP class is referring to the temp table which we have decorated as a data set, so that all the fields will be available automatically. So right now we have only populated that one. We will also check, we will also complete that statement before other things. So now the data set is there, but definitely it will only have only one field value, that is I think account number, which we have set in the DP class, but we'll do the same for all other fields. Just drag and drop this data set into the design and it will create an auto design. You just need to select a few properties in the design itself. Just there is a layout template which I will select, in this case report layout style template, and in the table we'll select style template here as table style alternating a row template. So it will give you alternate rows in a color gray color alternating as a background. So now we'll do the rest of things later. First we just need to complete and also we can also do here like account number grouping based upon the account number. Just do this one thing, and then we can sequence these fields as well. So what should be the sequence? I mean the customer name also should go in the group level row. So for that you cannot directly drag and drop here. You can just remove from the data node and just select here customer name and place it here in the group by row. So once it's there, then you can just sequence it. Voucher number should be at first level. This is a ledger voucher number, and then the currency code should be with the transactional amount, and then base currency amount will be there, and document date and number should also go along with voucher, and invoice also should be there, and trans date and invoice, and then type, transaction type will be there, and text also need to be put here. So this, after this sequencing, just save it and just create a menu item of type output. We are just testing the report first. Create a new item, and then in the user interface just go to the output menu item. When you call your report design directly targeting an SSRS report, you can use output menu item. When we'll use controller class, we can use action menu item at that time. So also output menu item can also be used, but I think it is not best practice. So just give it a name like as trans. So the menu item is there, and we have already used the our one of the label in the temporary table. Just go to the temporary table properties, and this is customer transaction label. So we can use the same label in our menu item as well. So just in our label, you can put this customer transaction. Also, you can use in the report. In the title, you can use this as a customer transaction, title of auto design. And also in the table, you can use the same one. Later on, we will fix it. Whatever is unnecessary, we can remove it later on. And in the menu item, now we need to select object type and object name. So object type will be SSRS report, and object name will be the name of our report. So just put here like PKR cust trans, and also make sure that it exists definitely, because we have created. It is essential to check it in order to validate a second time. So that's it, and now we will just go ahead with our DP class. And in our DP class, as you have seen, we have used only one field here. Actually, there are so many other fields which we have used. So we just need to select those fields as well in order to have the values in those fields as well. So just after account number, we can use amount currency code. Currency code, whatever the fields are, you just need to start putting it there. Amount MST, automatically it's coming, and document date. I'm not just putting here customer name because it's a bit complicated. I will just use another trick to put it there. Just put other fields only. Document date, document number, and invoice. Okay, after invoice, what else is left? Trans type and trans date is left. Trans type, txt. Just don't ignore the comma, which is a separator. What else is remaining? Trans date, trans type, txt. Voucher is important. Voucher is remaining. Just give it a space after comma. There are two commas here. Just remove one of the comma, and now in the same sequence, you can use the same sequence. Either copy it and just paste it here. Once I have pasted it, I will just, now we need to just do one more thing is we need definitely a customer name also. So what we need to do is basically there are certain views as well, and we can also make use of those views. And views are definitely, they work just like a table, but those are not basically table, those are just like queries at the back end. And they make our life easier by combining there are fields in multiple tables, so they will combine them together to make it simple, and we can just join our views as well. So which view we need here? Just go ahead with the cust table. There is a view here also in fleet management. It is the first name, last name of our customer. Customer account name. So this one, this view which is available in application suite is most suitable. Why? Because account number is mentioned and name is mentioned here. And then based upon account number joining, we can use this one. Basically in a view there are data sources, and those data sources are combining definitely with the dire party table here. So the name exists in dire party table, so it is already existing view. We can make use of this view. So the name is cust account name. We can just declare this view here, cust account name, and it is available just like a table, cust account name. So we can join this view here, and for joining we will just make a join statement, and in cust account name, and now we need to just put the join condition or joint account number will be against cust trans account number. So this is our join condition, that the account number should match in both the condition. This is an inner join. And so in this case then we just need to select our field value here which we need. So it will be join a name from the table name and where clause, and then in the insert record set statement we need to just put our cust name in the last. Sequence is very important here. So the first field names we have put which are coming from our first join table, and then if we are joining multiple tables, so whatever the fields are there, so it will be coming, the field will be coming after the last field in the first join. So that means that here voucher was the last field here. So in the insert record set it will be there, and then customer name will take the value from the next join. And if there are multiple fields here, so definitely those will follow after customer name. And if there is another join condition here, so that will of course follow from the last of the insert record set. So that's it, and just save it. Now there is one more here important thing is that synchronized database on build, because now we have done a table changes or data dictionary level changes. So it is very important when on the build you need to synchronize. And now what we need to do is we'll just use deploy reports, and it will automatically build, and internally it will also synchronize. So we'll just deploy our report. So automatically the build will be completed, data synchronization will be completed. So we have also need to do one more thing is deployment of report has been completed, but the thing is we need to also put this menu item into certain menu. For that we need to first identify what is the best placement. So because now this is related with account receivable, so the best place will be the account receivable. Then even we need to just check from user interface what is the best placement for this menu item. So in account receivable, just open the menus of account receivable, and then in inquiries and reports will be the best place or folder, and there you can see. So I think the customer related is the best place here, or we can also put at the parent level, because there is already cust trans list type of standard report is available. So what we need to do here is just create an extension of account receivable menu, and we'll just create an extension here, give it a name like pkr cust trans. Okay, and then just double click to open it. Then in the inquiries and reports, just drag and drop this menu item. So this will be the placement here in the customer transaction. There was an already there was one more report which we created, so just ignore it. We'll just create this, just save it. And now you can stop the synchronized database on build, because already it was synchronized. No need of every time a synchronization, just build it. Build is completed. Just open our browser. Yeah, so this one is our report, and here we are having our customer account number as a selection field. So once if I don't select any customer account, let's see what is the behavior of our existing one. So this report requires a default or user defined value for report parameter to run or subscribe. Okay, so it is asking to provide a customer account number. Yeah, that was our mistake. Why? Because in our report the parameter which was included was mandatory. That I am not talking about contract method itself, but there is allow blank value here and nullable value which need to be true in order to make it optional. So I will just turn it true, and to make it optional. For now, if we want to check it, we can just provide a value and it will then filter as per that value. So just let me select one of the value, Contoso Retail San Diego. Now you can see this report that although it is going to page number 2, which we need to fix later on in precision design by reducing the field width, which is very large for especially document number here, and then it will be fixed. Customer account name is there, and number is also in the group by, and since we have selected only one, so it is showing only one here. So now let me also, so it means our values are now filling up because all the other values are there and type is there. So one more thing is like the title here is not showing us, so we just need to also fix that thing also, that we need to also fix here. And Just copy the label ID and go to the auto design and just it is the same, I think. So after the optional parameter which we have made as optional by selecting allow blank true and nullable true, then we have just deployed the package once more, deploy the reports by right clicking on the project and using this command. And once it's done, now we have retrieved our report, and now it's working even for all the customers when you don't enter any customer name, but still the formatting is not correct. Means it is the columns are going further to second page, which we need to adjust. But you know, there is auto design and a precision design, so there is a flexibility of adjusting the field name in auto design as well, because now this is a table report table here, which in auto design we can go to individual fields, and then in individual fields in the property we can see here display width property is available, and this we can override. So we need to override for each of the display display width here, but it is better if we can convert it into precision design and then adjust as per our needs. So that will be better. Otherwise to adjust each of the property will be difficult. So instead once the design is available in front of you, then you can just using your mouse you can drag and adjust the field width. So I will just convert it to auto design to precision design. So just right click and create precision design will convert the design to, now you can see in front of you there are multiple fields available, so you can adjust the fields now, and this gives you more flexibility to adjust as per your needs. uh, so just adjust, because the document number and this transaction type will not be very big value. Even text field and amount currency you can adjust. Currency code will be also small value, and this is the base currency. And now you can adjust the border of your report. Also, if you can go to report properties here, paper size you can adjust as per your need. Normally A4 paper size is used, and you can also use landscape when width wise your report is having more columns. So the landscape one will be a good choice here. And also there are certain properties. You can just click on the white space and you can go to the page size here, just expand it, and here you can adjust the height and width as per your needs. So right now I am just adjusting field in front of me, so that document date also need to be smaller. And here you can see the customer name can be larger, so what I can do is merge the cell above it. So once I merge it, so the customer name can take the whole space here width wise, and account number will appear here, and this is how it will now show. So I will just deploy once more and we'll check the adjustment. And there are a lot of effort you can do here if you want to adjust the format of your design. So I just called the report, but it is showing still the auto design, because in the menu item we need to also adjust the now to correctly call the new design. For that, I will just double click output menu item, and in the properties, report design need to be precision design now, and just save and deploy the report. The report is already deployed, no need of again deploying it. Just we need to just build the project. Once build is completed, just we'll need to again relaunch the browser. For each build there is changes, so that need to reset the session. So now once I retrieve the report again, and I launched it, so now the fields are relatively better adjusted as per our the page size, and but still we need to do the formatting. For example, on the left hand side the margin should be more, and also in for example other fields like description, now the value is not there, but there are certain values like in free text and wise there is a description, so we can still adjust if we are still not satisfied as per our needs. So, or also the label or code is also shown. Actually the description should show here instead of the label code, so there is some problem, so we'll fix it later on. So just I will adjust the margin. You can just reduce here, and you can go to the report, and on the left hand side you can make it, for example, at 1 inch on the left hand side, and right hand side and the others are okay. So this can be done here, and now the grouping is on customer name. So now we'll go for the UI builder and controller. For creating controller and UI builder, it's good to have an example of the existing the code, and for that we'll go to the application explorer, and we can go to the classes, and just I need to put a filter here, and in the filter, for example, type, class, and name cust account statement internal, this can be used, or you can just type it simply and make it as a class, or you can what you can do is choose filter by type, and in the type you can put class here, and with the comma separated. You can also filter by name, and in the name you can put, for example, cust statement, and that's it, and just search it. So it will search in the AOT node of type class the classes with having the name of cust statement. Let me try once more. Actually, the name was cust account statement internal, so I will just use this one. Yeah, so all the elements of type class with this name will appear. So you can see here there are examples of contract controller, NDP, and UI builder. So you can take example of any one of which are already existing. You just open the code of those classes. That is a very shortest approach when you are developing any of the report or any of the other object like forms or whatever. So the closest example which looks like similar to that one, you if you can find it, then you can modify, copy paste and modify as per your needs. So that is the best example. So you can see here in the controller class itself, if you can see the main method is called first of all. This is the entry point. Args are passed there, and in args we can pass as well the menu item. Menu item is automatically there, but through the properties we can pass the enum type and enum value, and then inside the menu, inside the main method, the class is instantiated, and directly the method of class execute is passed, and execute is called, and the args are passed which are received here. And then of course this is the execute method written here, and it is checking the parameter. When the Brazil parameters are enabled, then it will call this design, otherwise it will go and call this design. And then the same arguments are again being passed, and operation has been started. So we can also take the example of this one, and we will create our own controller class, and we'll take the example from this one. So what we'll do, just right click on the classes node in the project solution explorer, and then create the new class, give it a name like pkr cust class controller. Will create the skeleton of the class, make it public. And now the existing class which we just look into it, we'll just extend this with the same parent class, which is SRS report run controller. So we can use this one in our class as well. And then this static main method we can write here. So what are the override methods available? So these are all methods available to override, and those can be used. So since main is a static method, so that cannot be override. So we can take an example of this and copy paste. We'll make it public static, and here we'll just initialize our own. But I will change here the implementation in my own way. So I will not use this way. Rather, I will just use my main method only. No need of using execute method. However, the remaining logic I might need this one. I will just copy it and paste in my main method. But of course, we will not be using the other Brazil and these things. We can also write documentation if we need. That is the best practice. We should always include the documentation, and in documentation we will change the controller. So we can write here our name of the report, which is cust class. So the documentation I have adjusted, and now we need to manipulate this. Rest of these two statements are correct, because now this will call the operation afterwards. So what I need to do here, I need to see, first of all I will comment it. First of all, I will comment it. Then I will use the example. 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 Then I will use So just put multi-line comment notation. Now what is the logic behind? Basically I need to now you can see in the our report which is now currently existing, in which once we click it, so there is one parameter of customer account. So I am thinking to make it like a customer group as well, which I will create in my UI builder. And once the customer group is selected, then all the customers, once the customer group is selected, then this customer account will be hidden. Once I select the customer group, so once I select the customer group, so then the filter will be based upon customer group. Under that customer group, whatever customer accounts will be there under that group, it will show only that one. Also the design also need to be on customer group basis. So for that I need to do the changes as well on my temporary table, because I will definitely need a customer group as well now. So account number and customer name is there, but customer group is not there. And now I will just remove the filter here, and I can go to the cust table. In order to check the customer group field, so that is here, and extended data type used will be cust group ID. So I will use this one, and just need to create a new field which is a string type definitely. And you can also check an a icon means string value, so it will be cust group, and extended data type will be customer group ID. I need to also check whether it exists in under this package. So that exists, so it means now it is done. So the new field has been created already, and what I need to do also is to again right click and include my synchronized database on build here, so that whenever the build is done, so it will synchronize as well. So also the variable this does not exist because y main is a static method, so it does not contain the instance here. We will need to definitely use the run method, or we can instantiate our uh, the class here. I can directly call the constructor. So now it is instantiated, so I will just place the controller here. Now the instance is being called, so if I save now, it will be correct. It will be okay, because now the main method, which is not an instance method, so static method will have the instantiation of the class, and then the args are passed to the param method, and then operation has been started, sys operation. So now what we need to do is basically we can open the DP class, because now we have created the customer group field, which is the new field, but it will not have the value, so we'll need to have required changes. So probably we will need another join condition. So the cust group is not available in cust trans, but it is available in cust table. So what we can do is we will declare here cust table buffer, and then we can join based upon this cust group from cust table, where cust table dot account num is equals to we can now make cust trans account num, and now the customer group will be retrieved, and here also in the next sequence, that is last one was this one, from our select statement to put in our insert record set. So now since we have in the join condition this customer group, so all the fields in the select statement should be in number same. In number the number of fields should be same, as well as the sequence also should be same. So now we will put here the customer group which we already created in our temporary table. So we can select now this field, and now the value will be copied, and join we have successfully done. So once it's done, now what about the report? In report we have not yet included our newly introduced field, so that we need to do. So just go to the data set, and in the data set you can check here that the customer group is not there. So what we can do, we can just restore the data set, and whatever the changes are in temporary table will be there. So now you can see customer group field is available. And what about now the same field does not exist in our design as well. So we need to also drop it on the design. So what we need to do is, for example, we have created our precision design from auto design, and the auto design exists on the basis of grouping. So one grouping is our customer account grouping. So we can now delete our precision design, and we'll again do our why, because now we need to also do the grouping based upon our customer group. So for that we need to we already have our grouping on account number. So whenever account number is selected, so this will be shown, and but we need to have another auto design based upon our group, customer group. So we will just drag and drop data set once more, and now in the grouping, since it does not exist, we can just sequence our now the customer group, we need to make the grouping on the basis of customer group, so that the customer group now will be first grouping level, and here we need to on the row level we need to put the account number and customer name, and the rest of the fields we will just sequence them in the logical order. So just put the amount, currency. You can also multi-select, and then I am using alter and up arrow and down arrow. You can also use the same one. So the transaction date will go there, and voucher, transaction date, and invoice number if it is invoice, and document date, document number, and transaction type should go at the first level with the trans date, and then amount, currency, amount, base amount should go at the bottom, and then there is a description field also, it should go at the before this. So now there are two designs. One is customer group wise. Customer group wise is this one, and this is customer account wise. So what we can do now, we'll just suffix this design cust account, and make it cust group, so that we can differentiate both of the designs. And now we can convert again to the precision design and adjust as per our needs. So I will again do the required changes, which are basically A4 size, and land escape, and on the left hand side I will make it 1 inch, and then adjust the field width. Transaction type, date, amount currency need to be smaller field, and currency code. So you can multiple time you can do the effort and redeploy until it satisfies your need. So this one I have done, and so I will just give it a name, a suitable name. So the report name will be with the underscore first account, and similarly this auto design I need to convert to precision as well. So definitely I need to also just delete this precision, because there are certain properties which I need to select, which is layout template. So that will be layout style template, and then on the table I need to select the style template, alternating row style, and now I can just put here the title, which is customer group wise, and in the same precision design, the previous one also I need to give it a name like customer account wise. So in the precision design, just open this one, and here we can put, this is our company name, and here we can put our label or title for the report, and this will be customer wise. I'm just putting the text label now because of some label problem. Okay, now in the now we need to convert this auto design. Just create a precision design. So this is customer group wise. So I need to just put the similar text in the other one. It was here. So just adjust little bit at bottom, and now just paste the text box and make it customer wise, and I will just remove this one. So now this one is customer wise. Just save it, close, and also give it a name, the other one, customer group. So now just we need to adjust the fields. Customer name might be longer, so account number will be shorter, and then in the currency code and amount MSD. check the page layout, that is orientation need to be landscape A4, and in the left you can put 1 inch. And just adjust this blank space to cover it. Don't leave any blank space in your report. And now the other report is report design is also we have given it a finishing touch. So now see, we can create either two menu items. Already we created one output item, menu item. Just let me open it. So in this menu item, this design was changed. So for example, if I select this customer account wise detail or grouping based upon customer account, so what will how I will then see my other design? So definitely it will also need a switch or something where I can select which design I want to call. So this decision should be dynamic, and it should be available in in your uh, and it should be available through dialog which appears before when you run a report, this dialog. So at this moment you can decide whether you want it customer account wise or customer group wise, and also the selection of customer group should be given here. So how that will go, I mean, the customer group lookup can be implemented. Either we can create a contract param method as well for that, and either we can also do it through UI builder itself. So both decisions are our own, and whatever is the easiest method we can do that one as well. The easiest one is through contract. Also you can have multiple values or enum values. Based upon that you can call your report. So we'll see how to do that. This is a customer statement which is internal. This UI builder is used there, and let me again go to filter those classes, and the rest of things are like this link classification lookup is created using UI builder, and this UI builder is extended by this SSRS report data contract UI builder, and then there is a post build method once dialog is built up. So after that this works, the method is called. This is overridden here, and then there is a post run as well. And then this UI builder is I will open the contract. So in this example we can see here that in customer account statement internal DP class, the basically the contract is defined here in the decorator, and this link is created here. And then if you go to the contract itself, so in the contract the UI builder is linked. So in this way classes are interlinked, otherwise the classes will not know about each other. So it's better, I mean, in this way, because now DP class, the temporary table is there which we have just used as a data set, and inside DP the contract is there. You can see here the contract is as a decorator we have included here. This class is also using the query, which we are not using. We are just using set based operation. This is your choice. If you want to use a query, so you can take an example of this itself. So we will not be using query here, and you can see here the query is being used. So anyhow, in this way they have linked it. So we will do also the same thing. Definitely, and here there is also group declare. The group name is criteria in the contract class, and then whatever the param methods are in that param method, the group member attribute criteria is being used, so that that field will definitely go into that group, which will appear there. So I will just show you how this report will show. There are so many fields there. So once you go to account receivable, so here in the inquiries and reports, customer account statement internal is available under customers group. So once you open it, the run dialog will appear, and now you can see here billing classification is visible here, and along with other fields from date to date, assessment date, and details like a discount or currency, that is also available. So we can have a design like we can have two lookups. One is for customer account, one for customer group, and then just enum value just like this one. Either you want to call it as customer wise or customer group wise. In this way we can implement our logic. So this billing classification is triggered from parameters, account receivable parameters. If we disable that parameter, it will go. So I will just show you how that is controlled. So go to the account receivable parameters. So in the account receivable parameter, in this one, use billing classification. If you turn it to no and save it, and now if you call the same report, so the billing classification lookup will be hidden now. So it means the parameter is being checked in the UI builder, and then it is hidden. And if we go to the UI builder, so in the UI builder you can see in the post run, it is checking whether the parameter value for this billing classification is on or off. If it is true, means on, then it will call this method, which will make it visible, and it will build the remaining logic. And this one is the lookup method, and in this method there is a query, and then there is a multi-select table num and container containing the selected values, and then the lookup is created using this class is lookup multi-select controller. In this way this is implemented. So just go ahead and create our UI builder as well. Just give it a name and pass UI builder as a suffix. So the UI builder is there. Just go to the example one, and you can extend it from the same SRS report data contact UI builder, and just make it public. And now we need to link this with our contract class. So what we'll do, we'll follow the same example in which the existing customer statement is linked. So we will just copy this one, decorator, and also the documentation also is important, which we'll just copy, and then we'll go to our contract. Okay, and in our contract we can just paste and modify. So data contact class for first trans report, and this one is also, you can just paste it, data contract attribute, and here we need to just place our UI builder name, and rest is okay. And we don't need sys operation group attribute here, but if you need, then you can just place a group decorator. Just remove the comma here. Now we have linked in this way our contract and UI builder. So what we need to do now is just In our contract class, we will just declare customer group ID as ADT, and customer group ID variable. Just create the param method, first group ID, first group, and ID first. We need to also put the decorator here. So in this case, it will be customer group, and customer group. We'll just find the label. So it should be match exactly. What is difference? That match exactly will match exact phrase, otherwise it will find these two words will appear in whatever label. So we'll use the oldest label and just place it here, this label, and same we could have used here also, customer account. Okay. We use the sys label. So once it's done, we'll check the customer group ID should be the variable name here. Now we need to also adjust our DP class logic. So for that, we can open our DP class, and here we can now, because now we will have also the value of our customer group. So we'll put AND condition here in the cust table, and here in the customer group, we can compare this with our we'll also need to declare the customer group ID here, cust group ID, and we'll also retrieve this from our contract. Now the value will be there by the past filters, and then it will go to the populate cust trans, and there we need to again make use of similar logic. Cust group ID. What if it is blank? Then of course we will put a customer group is blank, or customer group ID, customer group ID either blank of it or it has value. Then if it has value, so the filter will be applied. So in this way we can use our logic here. What if the account number is also filled and the customer group ID is also filled? So definitely both filters will be applied, and if the customer account does not belong into that customer group, so no records will be retrieved, of course. So it need to be either both customers should be in that group, then only the records will be shown, or either if only one condition is used, customer account, so definitely only that customer account will be retrieved. But if we only selected customer group, so it will ignore then customer account. So even internally we can introduce this thing, but let's see how we can do this now. Let me close all windows. Now one more thing is like we need to also check in our report whether the new parameter is now appearing or not. So it is not appearing here because in contract it should appear, and although we have restored, but I think the contract changes were recently done. So just let me restore once more. Now you can see the parameter is there, so it will also be in data set, and both parameter at report level and data set will be uh, also linked together, and also I need to make it optional. Just I need to deploy my report once more because now the changes are on the report level as well. A reference to the contact person now is being it is being asked. So what we can do, we can go to our model, update model parameter, select your model, and now search for this package which is contact person. Here it is. This was I think for the name, customer name, and so now we have performed a few of the changes which I need to show to you. Once we go to the controller class, we have declared the controller, so we have defined the controller class here, and in the controller we have previously done the main method. In the main method we have to give a default name to the report. This is mandatory, and once we give the report name here, and we have already instantiated the controller class, and then we pass through param method the report name, and that report name is for customer wise grouping in the report, and then args have been passed, and the operation has been started. But before that, pre-run modify contract is a part of a controller class. This method is very useful, and through this method we are actually controlling the calling of different design of the report. So what we are doing here, basically we again instantiated the contract instance here, and through the this object of the controller, we call the report contract and internally RDP contract. So RDP contract is actually our own contract, and then we casted it to the cust trans contract. So in this way we will achieve the instance of contract. So in that contract then values will be there because it is a pre-run modify contract before running our report. So before that we need to just check whether customer group is not empty. If it is not empty, means customer group is set. So in that case we will call the customer group design, and else of course the other condition might be true, that is customer account will be filled, so else the customer wise design will be called. So what we have done, I need to show a little bit because few changes I have done off the record. So here the customer group wise design is there. So in the customer group wise, it is only a customer group code and customer group description. So this description field I have also added into the temporary table, and in the same method like we have added other fields. So this was important because now the description of the customer group is there. Otherwise through the code we cannot identify which customer group is that one. So the customer group description is important, and this description field is available basically in a customer group table with the name of this name. The field name is also name, and the code field is customer group. So in this name we'll assign the, because now EDT is description in the name, so we have just created this new field, and then we have in the DP class we have modified our insertion logic, which is set based operation, and we have additionally included after customer group the customer description. And then we have another join condition in which we have joined the customer group table buffer, which we have already declared, and from that table buffer the name field we are taking here, and then the join condition is customer group means this table. This table is joined on the basis of customer group code with the cust table. So this is the condition, and remaining is almost the same logic, and in this way the description will be filled in. And then of course we have also done few changes on the report as well. Just I need to show so in the report also customer group description we have restored the data set, and then the new field was available, and now we are doing few changes. So let me do the changes. For example, if we go to the customer account design, so even in this customer wise we must also be interested in the group of customer. So it would be wise if we can insert it. So I will just split the cell value and just merge only few the columns, so that the customer name will easily fit into that one. And then I need to also do a few changes here also, just doing split. And now here we will insert customer group code here, and customer group description also. Even though the grouping is based on customer wise, but it is good to repeat the customer group in which the customer is basically contained. So I will just merge this one, and I just need to put here the customer group. Just merge, and the font is here Sigoi, so I will just use the same font. And Sigoi UI, and size I will maintain the same size, and also will make it bold. You can also put here the label name itself, so but I'm just skipping that part. So just saving it, and do a few other changes on the customer group design. In the customer group design, basically this is a customer wise grouping here. but it would be, I mean, nice if we can further group on the customer account number and name. So basic grouping will be on customer group, and then it will be the on the account customer account. So what we have done here in the row groups, we have added another group here by pressing this add button. I will just show you, just add here another grouping on the basis of account number. And now there will be two grouping. First grouping will be on customer group, the second one will be customer on the customer number. So what we'll do here, we'll just insert row above, and now we will place our because now this field is repeating itself. So for whatever number of transaction, customer account number and name will be repeating. So it would be nice if we can put it at the above level. So we'll insert another row, and now whatever the expression are used here, we'll just place copy cut and paste, and then we'll cut also account number and customer name. And now there are two fields are empty here. What we can do is just cut all the fields and paste here. So in this way there will be two columns which will be saved here, and we'll delete it. So now the borders we need to definitely uh, give it borders here, and for that we can use the top border. So in this way the account number and customer name, and for this customer name, of course, more cells can be merged in order for this to accommodate. And again the border is, I can use this one, top border command here available. So in this way we have done few of the changes, and now we need to also see how it works. Just let me save, and then I will deploy. We have not yet done anything on the UI builder, and we will do after this. So once the reports are deployed, we can go to the account receivable and launch the customer transaction report. Now this is in this menu item, output is is calling the controller class, and inside the controller pre-run modify contract is basically deciding which design to open. So now in this case the customer group lookup is there, and this lookup is implemented through contract itself, and we are also planning to filter on the basis of customer group whatever the value is there. So then the end user will click on the customer account on the basis of customer group whatever it is selected, so it will filter out and only show the customers under that customer group. For now we will check the functionality once we have selected the customer group, which is wholesale. So just launching the report. So here you can see the report which is being called is customer group wise. So basically this is a separate design, and how it is decided right now that if the customer group lookup value is selected, so this design will be called. Otherwise the other one, that is customer wise, will be called. So here we can see now that customer group is the first grouping level, and then the customer account is the grouping level, and these all transaction will belong to this customer. So instead of repeating the customer on each and every row when it is same value, so it's better to put another grouping on the customer account. And then for example, if this is US 003, we can see this is repeating on the second page. So from here it is a different one. So what we can do also, we can put a page break before the next group value. That is also possible in report design. So instead it will continue to start here in the middle of the page, so it will open in the next page. otherwise it will be repeating. So this is how we have done now, and now we will check if for example we choose the other value, that is we will just remove the customer group, and we don't put anything here, so definitely the customer account wise the report will be called, because the checking criteria is on customer group right now. So now you can see here that the new design is customer wise, and this is being called, and here the values are customer account wise, and then whatever customer is under whatever group, that will be shown here. But here only we have used only single grouping, that is a customer account grouping. But in other design there are two grouping, one is on customer group, then it is on customer account. So it looks like both look similar, but I need to tell you that it is basically the previous one was having two groups, and here it is only one group. So this is how it looks. So anyhow, whatever you like, you can do as per requirement for the design of the report. You can also put the sum or totals at the end. That is also easy. You can put a page break as well, so I will just do that changes, those changes, and just let me open the customer account first. So what we can do here, we can just go to the row grouping here, and there are two grouping. Basically, this one belongs to at the above level, which is, and then the other one is at the lower level. So here, what we can do is add a total, and total will be added after. So automatically it has picked the currency or the numeric fields, and it has put the totals there. And if you like, you can make it bold, and then also we can go to the main grouping, go to the group level and account number group, and you can go to the page break, and you can choose between each instance of a group, and you don't need to just select the other values as well, otherwise two pages sometime will be inserted before or after the group. But if it is needed, you can just select that one. Also there are certain other values like sorting, or but there are two levels of sorting. One is of course on the report level, and the other one is on your DP class level, when you are using set based operation. At that level also, if you are aggregating or group by using group by, so at that level you can also do the sorting. So that is also available. So here you can just select sorting. For example, if it is on account number first, so that is already grouped by, and then if I need to choose the trans date, so it will be selected here, trans date. If you want recent first, so you can choose Z to A, otherwise A to Z is good, and that is now up to you, whatever I mean the formatting or anything you can apply. So let's now go to the UI builder, and the changes which I will show you now. So now after the controller, we have also completed our UI builder here, and in our UI builder I would definitely explain about what are the things we have done here. Actually, now if I can show you the customer transaction report. So if you open, there are still two fields, lookup fields here for customer account. The one at the top is without any filter, and the bottom one is the custom lookup. So how it works? So basically, whenever a customer group is selected, for example, if I select intercompany customer group, so the bottom one is automatically filtered. So this is the custom lookup which we have implemented by adding the range to the query. Whenever the change happens to this field, so the new value is picked up and used in the lookup. But still the built-in lookup is not filtering it. So that's why we have implemented the custom lookup. So we'll see how this is implemented, and this is all done in UI builder. And in the UI builder itself, the field, this dialog field is built up, and also it is populated through a query, and then it is also filtered based upon the value, corresponding value in the customer group. So this is very useful when you need to add multiple fields and those fields are interrelated. So instead of a wrong combination, is always a good thing to have a the correct combination, so that the report will definitely render some data. Otherwise, since if both the fields are having different value and they are not correlated with each other, so the report will be empty. So that is not normally used in reports, and I have seen the Oracle reports as well, Oracle form and reports there. This strategy is very much used. So in the similar way, this can be used. So we'll go to the UI builder here, and you can see here there are two dialog fields. The other one, customer group field, we are not building it in this UI builder, but it is automatically built up. We are just declaring it and binding this customer group, so that the value is retrieved, against which we need to put a filter or range on the query. And this customer account field is now, we are not using the automatic one, although for demonstration I have shown you, but we are not using this one. So the actual method is, which is building the dialog before running the report, is build method, and after that the post build method is called. So the customer account lookup is internally called in the post build method. So we'll sequentially explain about it. So first of all, when the build method is called, here we can see that actually we have declared the contract object here in the global variable, and then we are instantiating the contract and casting as well. And once it is casted, so definitely then we are building the customer account field, which we have also declared here. And here we are just assigning the instantiating the field here, building the field, and so the method is this dot add dialog field. So this means the current instance, and of course add dialog field, and then we have to give it the method string, that is param method existing in the contract, data provider contract, so that we are providing here. So the customer account will be now uh, build up here, and it will, at this stage it will show the same method, same lookup, just like our built-in, meaning all the values will be shown and all the fields of built-in lookup will be used till here. But now if you go to the post build method, so in the post build method, what we are doing, again contract is initialized here, and then customer account field, this we are now binding it. And how we are binding, actually the contract and its method is linked with the uh, through this get dialog field. So the bind information is taken here, and then once it is bound, then we need to register override method. So this what it will do, the it actually here we need to define here we need to mention as a parameter to the methods which is existing method, and the method through which we are overriding that method, and then the instance will be passed here. So in this way we can override the whatever method we need to override. So here we are overriding lookup method definitely, and then also, since we need the value from customer group lookup, for that purpose, if we don't bind that field which we have declared here, if we don't bind it, we cannot use the value, although we are not building this field again just like the customer account, because in customer account we need to use our own lookup because we want to filter it. But in customer group field we are not using any custom lookup, we are only binding it so that the value we can retrieve from this one. So now in the register override method, if you can see what the class name, which is the current class UI builder, and the cust account lookup method, which is at the bottom I have defined. So this is the proposed or the new lookup method which will be which it will override the existing lookup method. So now what we have done in the account lookup method, which will be called whenever the overridden lookup is event happens. So in this method the form control is passed, which is through this. So in this you can see sys table lookup. In the new parameter we have initialized this instance of the class, and this is the by default we have to pass the parameter and the form control which already is passed through parameter, and then we have declared query object and data source and range of objects of the classes. So also we have instantiated the query here, and then the contract is initialized here and casted. And then in the query build data source, what we are doing here, we are using the this instance of query and adding the customer table as a data source to the query. And once it is added, then we are also adding a range to the instance of query build data source. So then the range notation or the parameters are we need to pass the field number. So the field number is passed through this. Field number method takes the two parameters, that is table name and the field name. So this will add the range, but still we need to assign the value so that range is effective. This will only add a range, but the value is assigned at the bottom in this condition. So what we are doing here, basically we are checking when a customer group field will have a value. So if it will have a value, then just assign that value to the range, otherwise leave it. So if we don't put this condition, so what will happen if there is a blank value? So there will be no value shown in the lookup. So that's why we need to only assign the value from the field control whenever there is a value selected there. So only then we can assign the value here. So that we are doing here, and then there is a usual lookup field which we need to display in our lookup. When we click the lookup field, so the columns which will be shown are here. The first one is physical field, definitely account number. The other one is display method of customer name. It exists in the customer table. So this display method we can use as well here. And so only these two fields we have used, and then the query which we have built here and assigned the range is again passed to the lookup instance, and then the perform form lookup is called to actually perform the action. So this is how we have implemented the lookup, and you will find this normally this definition of the lookup everywhere if you Google it, so it will be available. So in this way we have applied the filter. The only tricky part was whenever the dialog is in front of you and you are changing the value, then how to get that value. So that value can be retrieved using, first of all, binding that control here the customer group control we are binding here, and afterwards we need to just retrieve the value here. So that will be enough, and definitely this will assign to the range and it will work. So I will show once more, and here for example, if I select major customers and then I click here, so there is no customer account under this. And then if I select the internet customers, so again there is no, let me select the intercompany. Yes, intercompany there is. And if I select wholesale customers, yeah, that is also there, and I can select from this. And now we can hide this above one, because this was only for demonstration I wanted to show you, and we can just hide it, and we can only show this the bottom one. So what we need to do is go to our contract class. So in the contract class we can use here the customer account. So what we can do here is just remove this in the build statement. In the build method, we can remove the adding the new field, because the field is already there, but only we need to override the lookup method. So that we are doing already. So we will just remove the, ultimately there is no need of this build method. So let me remove the build method altogether. Let me build the project, and once more we will see how the changes are looking. So now once we have removed the the cust account in the build method, so now the thing is the other one is removed. There is only one customer account field now, which is already built up. We are not building it, and only the lookup method is overridden here. So once we select any other value here, for example, then lookup will work as per the filter applied. Select this so the retail values are shown, and if I select in, so that's it. So now we have done the changes here. Only there is one more thing. If there is a lookup which we can show here, that which design we should show instead of just selecting the value, because in this case also we need to have we can have also a choice that whether we need to group by using the customer group or customer account. So there are two designs which we need to launch. So we need to just introduce one more field here, which will be the enum value, and then we'll decide which design it will launch. So in order to do that, we will just create one enum. Just right click here and add a new item, and we can go to the data model. In the instead of data types, in data type, base enum will be the type here, and we'll put here pkr cust class. There can be two group by. We can just make it like group by. So the enum is there, and now we can just add a new element. We need two elements. So the first one will be cust group, and the other one will be cust account. And we need to also put labels. Just go ahead with our label file. And here we can say customer group. First, customer wise. Now we can use the label IDs. Just copy the label ID, and in the customer account we can put here customer wise, and the other one customer group wise we can put in customer group label property. Now we need to modify our contract. So what we can do is just create one more and here we need to just define the return type, which will be pkr cust class group by param cust class group by. We need to also declare the field here, class group by. Just assign the same and make it underscore. Parameter now is assigned to the global variable and return the same. Okay, then we just need to decorate the method. Just decorate as a data member attribute. Just group by sys operation label attribute, and just put a group by control. You can just copy paste here. just close the windows and now we need to open our controller class where we have put the logic of which design to choose from once it is launched. So in pre-run modify contract, since we have now declared our param method, we will use contract param cust trans group by. Just put it here, and then we need to select an enum value, which is cust trans group by, and if it is, for example, customer group, so it will go to this design. If it is otherwise means customer account, so it will go there. So we can even here also we can put if condition, because normally in enum value later on if there is certain change, so that will place a third value, but then in the else condition which one will cover it. So definitely we then need to put the exact value here. Instead of not equals to, we need to put here equals to, and here also we need to put equals to, and so it was better to use also switch case statement instead of this one. That is up to you which one you need to choose, so both can be implemented. So once we have selected this, and now we need to go also to report, because now there is third parameter also added, so we need to just restore and deploy our report once more. So just restore so that the new parameter value is there, and that value will definitely we need to make it optional, although it is not necessary, but let's make it optional. And so once the required changes are done, you can go ahead with the deploy reports and automatically it will build up. Well, now we need to check our changes. Just go to the customer transaction report, and now the report design is unavailable, which is report cust account. Let me check. The deployment has been failed, and it is saying that the number of defined parameter is not equal to cell definition. Basically, this is a technical problem, and whenever you restore your data set, so when if you have introduced a new parameter, so something is messed up and both the parameters are not equal. So we need to just open our report in XML. So just go ahead and right click and open with XML Editor. We will choose this one, and yes. Now we need to find one element called cell definition. This tag is cell definitions. Here also it is not matching, whatever it is. Number of columns are 6, and until this are 5, and then 0, 1. This is also not equal. Just copy this one, paste, and give it a name like as trans group by, trans group by, and we have adjusted our number of column 6 and number of rows 2. So now next go to the next one, and here also we need to adjust this to be 6 till 5, and this 6 one will again become 0 and 1 and 2, because now this is in row 2 and the above one is row 1, so this is two-dimensional array. Just save it. Sequence contains no element. Just the issue was fixed. Basically it was a problem since we were using directly base enum. So instead of base enum, then we also created one EDT, and then in EDT we extended that EDT through the base enum. Not extended, rather enum type we have selected the same one which we have already created for grouping on the customer group level and customer account level. Then by creating EDT and using enum type in that EDT, we then in the contract class we have changed the data type of our declared variable, which is now EDT. So that's it. We have done these changes. So in this way we have completed our code, and but here also the return type we need to also select the EDT. So the same EDT type we can choose here as a return type. So if I can show the, now the value of group by is showing like this one. Group, if we want to group by customer group wise or customer wise, so the also we can remove this wise. Instead we can put just customer group or customer, so that will be more simple and more pretty. So just we need to change our labels. We'll just put here customer group and customer. You can just deploy the reports. So now what we have done now in our contract class, we have changed the enum value to our EDT, and that is done by creating one more EDT, and then using the enum type which we have created in that EDT, and the param method which we have already created is now returning the EDT type, and in parameter also it is accepting the EDT. So basically EDT is indirectly using the enum value. So this change we have done, and also afterwards we have also used the same as a parameter in our report, and then we have deployed our report, and also because now our logic is changed, so in the controller class in the pre-run modify contract we have now used our the new param method, which is in turn returning our this enum value basically, and that we need to use here, and so in this way we have achieved our results, and we'll just check the report how it works now. Go to the customer transactions which we have just created, and here you can check the group by, either it is customer group or customer. So we are not just entering any of the value in the other lookup field, and just let me show you how it looks. So once I have selected the group by on the basis of customer, so the customer wise grouping will be called. So this report is customer wise now, and the label itself is changed, and the grouping is first on the customer, then we are just displaying in the same row the customer group name as well. So in this way the whole report is organized. So what happens once we select our on the basis is customer group. So just select this group by here. So now in the when we select the page width, now the first grouping is on customer group, and then the next is on the customer name, and in this way the report is organized. So now this is achieved through using the controller class. Now what we have achieved using UI builder class basically is we have overridden the lookup method. And why? Because once we choose the customer group, so the logical thing is in customer account lookup, only those customer which belong to the customer group should show. So this we have achieved in our UI builder, and we can also override any other method which we like and to achieve our goals. So once I select and change the customer group, so only the customers which are in that customer group will show. So in the retail, if there are, so in the retail customer will show. So in this way we have achieved this. I will share my code on GitHub or maybe some other place, and I will share the link in the description. And please do comment about this. And once more I will just show a screen of my contract class. In the contract you can see this is the definition, and how many param methods are there. Basically we are using 3 param methods here, and one is for customer account, one is for customer group, and one is for group by. And then there is a controller. In controller we have implemented the static void main method, which is basically entry point. From this the class will enter, and the menu item will call this controller class, which I need to also show here. And I have used the same output menu item, and in the menu item I have selected the object type as class, and the name of the class is controller class, which we have created. And once control goes to the controller, so main method will be called first, and we need to give a default name of report. And then in the pre-run modify contract we can accordingly adjust our on the basis of the dialog value of the field of group by. We need to select accordingly whatever design is suitable, and in the same way you can also do the same thing. And then we have also implemented our UI builder. Basically UI builder we have connected in contract through this decorator. And in the UI builder what we are achieving here, basically we are filtering our one field of customer accounts on the basis of customer group. So that we have achieved here, and we have implemented our own custom lookup through our query. So this is the whole definition. There are 2 dialog fields, but those are coming from contract, and we are using these 2 dialog fields only to retrieve, bind it, and then retrieve the value, and then also override in case of customer account field, which is here. We are overriding the lookup method. So this is now our UI builder, and then what is left is DP data provider class. And in the DP class we have connected the contract here through decorator, and then in the DP we have also declared temporary table, customer account, customer group, and then there is a method to retrieve our data set used for the report. And then there is a process report method here which we have used, and in that we have also populated our local global variable here using our contract. And then populate cost trans method we have implemented, in which the temporary table is basically populated using set based operation. And also the parameters passed through contract are also checked, where if those are empty, then the whole record set will be retrieved and inserted into the temporary table. So this is how we have achieved this. And customer group description is also taken by joining, and also the name name of the customer is also taken. So we have combined here 3 joins, and that those were necessary, and then there is a label file, and then there is a change on the menu itself. In menu we have only inserted our output menu item. In inquiries and reports, here we have just drag and drop the output menu item. So this is how we have achieved this, and our table, a temporary table, is containing all these fields, in which account number, customer name, amount, currency, whatever the significant fields were, we have used in that temporary table. I hope you have enjoyed this, and if you have any comment or feedback, just let me know. And thank you very much. And I think there were certain problems, issues during the development of this report, and hopefully it will not happen with you. So just let me know once you finish practicing this example, or any try to, I mean, divert the example. Don't just copy the same example. You can do the same example on vendor side. When trans is there, so you can develop your own vendor transaction report, and you can do the same thing. Or also you can use for bank transactions, or any other module which you like inventory transaction or fixed asset transaction. Just let me know about your feedback. Thank you very much.